Hello everyone, and welcome back to the first video I've made in quite a while here on MicroCasting. This one's just telling you about the new direction and new stuff that's going to be coming up this 2020, because MicroCasting starting now is pretty much back in business. So I'm just going to tell you what exactly to expect and what changes are going to be made this year compared to the last couple of years when MicroCasting was around. So for starters, again, we're back, not going anywhere anytime soon. One of the big things is we're going to be relaunching MicroCasting Tropical. So what this really means is that pretty much starting now, tropical cyclones in the Atlantic and Eastern Pacific will be covered, regardless of when they do occur. That is the area that Microcasting Tropical will be covering. Update and coverage will be much more extensive over there than it has been in the past couple of years on either the St. Louis or tropical channels. And Microcasting will cover storms not just impacting the United States, so also if storms impact the Caribbean, Mexico, any of those areas, the Azores, you know the drill, they will also receive coverage because that is the responsibility that Microcasting Tropical is taking. So for channels, that means the St. Louis channel, which is where most of you are probably watching from. This will be where you get updates on severe weather, on snow events, on big weather events in St. Louis, maybe even some stuff about, St. Louis sports and how the weather's going to be looking there. On the tropical side of things, if hurricanes are forming, any of that stuff's happening, you'll be getting videos over there about that. So that's really all that means. So if you're watching on the Microcasting St. Louis channel, you'll want to stay here if you're interested in St. Louis weather. If you are more interested in tropical stuff, go over to the Microcasting Tropical channel. If you're not there already, that's where you're going to want to be. So, speaking of sports, here's Microcasting Sports. So that's launching right now. I mean, as soon as this video is done and it's published, if there are any games coming up, Blues games, Cardinals games, those will be getting forecasts pretty much immediately. So throughout the year, whenever Cardinals games and Blues games are coming up, you will be receiving forecasts pretty much regularly on what's going on there. So for more detail on that, all Cardinals and Blues games will get forecasts, and those could be up to a week in advance. Forecasts will always be up to date, so if there's a significant change between what I put in my last forecast and what I'm thinking now, I will release a new forecast. But if I don't see any significant changes, I won't release a new forecast, even if it's a day or two old. It does give you chances for game delays and cancellations, so you can see, okay, how likely is it that you're going to be having to stay longer than you thought you were, and what are the odds that you may not be going at all. So here's an example of what that graphic's going to look like. This is for a Blues game. This is actually a real forecast I made last year. Graphics really haven't changed all that much since then, but here you go. This is your example graphic. So what else are we doing? Nationwide seasonal outlooks are now a thing. These will be going on the Microcasting St. Louis channel, but these will basically tell you, okay, what am I expecting spring, summer, fall, winter as the year does go on. Those will be released a month in advance of the season and at the beginning of the month of the season. So that'll be how all of these work. So you can basically expect seasonal outlook one month, seasonal outlook the next month, and then no seasonal outlook. There will be a gap before we get right back into seasonal outlooks. So that's basically the schedule there. So here's what they're going to look like. So this is going to be your precipitation outlook. This is what it's going to look like. It's not going to be exactly like this. This isn't an actual outlook predicting anything. This is just giving you a good idea of what the outlook could look like. Same thing with the temperature outlook. Again, this isn't an actual outlook, but it gives you a good idea of what it's going to look like and what kind of information you're going to be able to get out of it. Website will be coming back later this year as well. That's something that is important. And when that does relaunch, you'll be able to get your 7-day forecasts again, because guess what? Daily forecasts are gone. So the daily forecasts that I'd make every morning, those are no more. I just don't have the time to do it these days. But when bigger weather events do come into St. Louis, I will be covering those. And I can use my resources much more effectively, not having to worry about that daily forecast, especially since I am getting some really good software going. So later this year when the website relaunches, you should get a pretty accurate 7-day forecast anyway. So you can go to the Microcasting website later this year to get your 7-day forecast, and if you want more specifics, more details on a big weather event that's coming in, you can always check on this channel. I guarantee you there are going to be videos on that if you're on the St. Louis side of things. Microcasting also will better be able to use its resources with less time constraint due to this. So this should open up time. This should give you guys the most useful information that you're going to need. So that's really it for announcements. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in 2020.